The Colorado Avalanche miss out on Jonathan Toews, but he stays within the division, and a former Avalanche finds his way back into the Central as well. So let's talk about that on a new episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli, and with me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. If you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. The link is in the show notes below. Sign up, chat with Kyle and I, one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We will be discussing the season grade for Valeri Nichushkin. We'll get to that in a little while. And the Avalanche announced their preseason schedule. Cool, I guess. Woo. Golf claps. So we'll mention that. But we also, in kind of maybe a little bit more exciting than a preseason schedule, is we're gonna throw out the subtext people who we think the opener could be for the Avalanche. So we'll talk about that. Take some guesses into the magic 8 ball here, Mr. Sullivan, and so we'll do that in a little bit. Where we are going to start is, like we said at the opening, some movement going. We're starting to see trades and people leaving the Central, people coming back to the Central. You saw Dallas move Mason Marchment out to Seattle, and Seattle made another move to bring to move out Andre Burakovsky into Chicago. We'll get to that in a minute. But the bigger story there was Jonathan Toews. He's been out of the league for a few years, said he was going to make a return. And by all accounts, the Avalanche were in on this. They had some interest in him. I think there was some interest from Toews for the Avalanche, but I think there was just more interest from him with Winnipeg. And that's where he ends up going. So I think it was Pierre LeBrun who posted on The Athletic stating that, yes, the Avalanche were in this, and he said they finished second. I don't really know how do teams really finish second? Yeah, maybe, I guess they do. But, one team loses, they all lose. So, did he have interest in the Avalanche? It seems like that there was mutual interest to an extent. But, he's from the Winnipeg area, and I think maybe that was just a big pull on him. I don't know how much I put into that, but that's where he is. He's going to Winnipeg. I think they get a pretty good I got a friend. You had a friend last time. Now you don't. I think they get a pretty good deal here. But what's your take on that? I'll get to the contract specifics in a minute, but I just want to get your take on it.
I'm glad they lost on Jonathan Toews. I really am. I get it. Like, Jonathan Toews, he's won Stanley Cups, whatever.
It's won everything.
Yeah. I get the mystique, but I also get the exit. What that looked like, the drama, the off ice incidents as well. I don't like. I get it could have been veteran presence on the cheap, but all the off-ice stuff and the health, I just don't feel like fit the apps. And you know what? I'm glad they lost. It just doesn't, like, every time his name has come up around rumored to the Avalanche, I understand what he does on the ice when he is available to, but I just never saw how Sakic or McFarland could see how this would fit into the locker room. Like, the Kyle Beach stuff and his health at the end, I just don't feel like is conducive, especially when you still have to sign players for the Avalanche. Why you would go out and take a gamble on Jonathan Toews?
The health stuff is a big concern. Like, you have no idea. Like, right? So that's the risk part. And you could have gotten him on the cheap. Did Winnipeg? I mean, the base salary, sure. I don't think the Avalanche could have went to where Winnipeg did with his base salary, which is $2 million. And it's loaded with incentives that if he hits all of them can come up to, I think it's like $5.5 million. A lot of it is how many games you're playing. And when you've been out of the league for as long as he has, you don't know. Like that is a big concern. To me, it would have been a risk worth taking. You know what I mean? Like I would have, because if it didn't work out, you're just fine. Like he would have been just another center in what is now a very deep position for the Avalanche at the center position. So you could have moved him if you needed to. You could have moved other guys over to the wing if you needed to. So, I think you take the risk because it's always like, if, when you take a risk like this, if you get what he could get, like, return to, that is a win. If he doesn't, okay, well, we didn't give up positions and get rid of guys positionally to make way for Jonathan Toews. I think he would have had to prove himself. He would have needed to prove what position he's playing, the minutes he's getting, the games he's getting. And then if he did prove that stuff, you come out like gangbusters on this thing. But that's a big if. So now that whole conversation kind of shifts to Winnipeg here and say, okay, now if Winnipeg, hits the lottery with him, they look like the geniuses. If not, well, then you throw your hands up in the air and say, like, well, it's a guy who hasn't played in a few years and he's had all of these health issues. And he tried, but it's not working out. But for me, I might have taken that gamble.
Yeah, Chris Vaselli might have taken that gamble. Chris McFarland cannot. But hold.
Yeah,
he cannot go 3 years in a row signing a player, and again it doesn't work out, and his seat is a little hot right now.
I don't think it is, man. I know a lot of people in Avalanche land think it is. I really don't think that it is.
Well, you can't continue to make these gamble signings. Like, you have 18 of 23 rostered spots with $1.2 million to play around with. You're going to have to make some moves to put this team together. Like, for it to be Jonathan Toews, like, bring him on as a project, like, that doesn't help your team. You don't need Jonathan Toews. You need to put a team together, and you can't say, well, if it doesn't work out, we can move him out. You need that money for players to put this team together. And Chris McFarland can't do another Rijo, or especially after the drama of the Mikko Rantanen thing, he can't keep bringing in players and, it didn't work. Not sorry. And then have to move them again when you have such limited cap space. You've got to be a little bit smarter. Like, it would be like, why not bring back Dustin Byfuglien? What's he been doing? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't go, like, nothing about what he can bring. Like, the health thing scares me to death. And if that doesn't work out, like, Winnipeg can stomach that, Colorado can't.
This is where, like, the contract itself is interesting, because, like I said, he gets $2 million just in base salary. And I don't think the Avs would have gone there. I think the Avs would have gone like $1 million, which I think is the minimum that he could have made. I think he's at that level where he can't make less than that. But you're giving him $2 million base salary, $550,000 each if he plays 20 games, 30, 40, 50, 60. So if he hits all of those criteria, he gets $550,000 for each one of those milestones. $500,000 if the Jets make the playoffs and he plays in 50 games, $250,000 for each round they go to. And he plays in 50% of those games, $1 million for a Stanley Cup win and playing in 50% of the games. So that is an incentive like that. That is, hey, you have to show us that you're healthy. If you're healthy and you take us far, you're going to have a nice payday. And for the Winnipeg, it's only $2 million. All those incentives doesn't count towards that. That's just bonus coming to Toews. So, that's the contract side of it. The Avs probably maybe would have went that route with incentives, but much lower base salary. I get what you're saying with the whole, you can't take the chance, but I think the opposite is also true. I think the opposite is sometimes you have to take chances. Sometimes you have to, and those chances sometimes work out. Sometimes they don't, but you are right with the fact that, like, if it didn't, there's going to be people being there. Like, what the heck were you thinking? This is the massive boomer bust, low, or I don't know how you want to word it. I mean, it's low risk in the money factor, high reward if he if he plays like the Jonathan Toews of old, which nobody's really expecting that because he's 37 years old. But, could he give you what a 37-year-old could give you from a guy who's been a former superstar? That remains to be seen. And he hasn't played for a few years. Especially so it is a big risk. It is a big risk. And I understand I'm sure a lot of people are on your side of saying, like, I don't want Chris McFarland to take that risk. I would have done it. I would have done it. Everything on the table. Why not?
Well, you still got to put a team together. And you just gave 7.2, 7.5 to Brock Nelson.
5
as your 2C, and it's like he's up there in age as well. Like, you can't say we're running it back with this team. We believe in this team. Oh, and here's Jonathan Toews. He might work. He might not. We wrapped up a lot of money there. And I hope you're fine with Tucker Poolman and all these.
Well, he's gone. He's not.
Well, yeah, no, it's like all these like league men signings to brace the rest of it. Like, you got to handle it a little bit smarter because, again, you got bounced in round 1 with this team that you believe in. Like, you kind of tied your hands a little bit with that statement.
We'll talk about that tomorrow because I'm getting a vibe on what this team is going to do or not going to do in just a couple weeks. Well, I want to talk about that for tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. Quickly, one other guy that has found his way back into the Central. We talked about Mason Marchment getting traded from Dallas to Seattle. And then like the next day they made a trade and Seattle did and shipped Andre Burakovsky out and back to Jonathan Toews' old team. This is just like a cycle here, man. And they sent Burakovsky to Chicago. So Berkey comes back to the Central. I think this is a very smart move from Chicago.
I do too.
I think it's a good move. I think that, that's a team that, they just need to improve a little bit. And I think for somebody like Burakovsky, who, he has some offensive upside. We've seen it. And I think he can just go in there in Chicago and zero expectations from the team standpoint for this year. So he can just play loose. Just play loose, not have to worry about anything. Who knows what line he's going to play on? I don't know if he's going to, maybe he gets some time with Bedard. Who knows? But if he does, that is an option for, someone on like Bedard's line that maybe can pull some of the offense away from him. So everything is focused on him. They gave up next to nothing to get him. So I think this is a pretty smart move from Chicago's standpoint.
Yeah, I think it suits Berkey because, there is no pressure. Like, he's kind of found his footing a little bit in Seattle, but I'm very curious to see what Chicago does for him. I mean, he's still a good player. He's got Stanley Cup pedigree. Like, he's done it before. So, and like for him to come into that locker room as maybe one of the veteran presence in that locker room, I think that'd be a good fit for him. And honestly, you're not asked to do a lot, not expected to do a lot. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. So, all right, let's get a break in here. When we come back, the Avalanche preseason schedule was announced, so we'll talk about that and who we think that they will open up against. So we will in the regular season, of course. So we'll do that coming up next. First, let's hear from Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. It's one of the highest protein nuts, and each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com right now to learn more. The preseason schedule has been announced for the Avalanche, and like every other year that came before it, I just don't get excited about it, man. Like, the thing that gets me excited is like, okay, well, now I know the dates that are going to lead up to the games that do get you excited in regular season games. But I think there's just, I don't know. There's so much fanfare around preseason games, and yes, I'll be watching them because I do like watching the preseason games and seeing like some guys that don't get a lot of time, just watching them and just seeing those guys that can maybe put a stamp on a preseason for themselves and get themselves a roster spot or a better look when maybe there's an injury and hey, he had a pretty good season. Like I get all that stuff, but I don't know. This is just not like the regular season release that for me, because this. Are you with me on this? I don't know. It's just
no. I used to get all hyped and excited that preseason, because it's such a long wait to September. You're just like, my goodness, I'd do anything for hockey. You're watching old games on like YouTube just to kind of bridge the gap. Now I'm not so excited about the games. I'm watching for the players. Right. I'm watching each game. I'm not watching it as a competitive hockey game. Most games, when you're watching them, they don't even put up the scoreboard.
It's usually a one camera angle right on center ice. It just goes back and forth. It's behind the net. It's like, oh God.
Oh man. And man, you remember back in the day when we had to find like pirate streams of no audio. We're just sitting there watching.
Yep.
But like, I'm watching for the players. I want to see what these guys look like in an environment where there's not a lot expected. They're just kind of seeing where you're at. And you get a lot of standout players. And honestly, the more that the Avs have been so cap-strapped, I'm watching these games a little bit more. Because these might be players that will have to be called up or utilized or relied on. So it's a better understanding on, I don't care if they won 6-1. I'm not going to break it down, but I'm going to watch like what you did in those moments, what you could, and I'm going to see how you match up on the regular season roster.
Yeah, there's always guys that you're looking at for a number of reasons. One could be, hey, this is their third or fourth year with the team. Like, is this finally the year that they kind of turn the corner in training camp and preseason games? And then you have like new guys. We'll see, like, even though he was there last year for the rookie camp, like guys like Taylor McCarr.
Yeah,
see what he can do. So stuff like that. So I'm not discrediting the value of it. I'm just like, it doesn't just get me amped up, as clearly the regular season games do. I don't know why it would. Like, it's just preseason. And what you said is exactly right. It's for I'm looking at individual players. How are you doing? That's really.
And you get to, especially with this year coming up, you get to see when you see those trade packages and those other names that you're like, oh yeah, they were probably part of the Eagles. You get to see like, hey, that's some value there. We could probably package him and him with this to make this. Like, he's got some upside, but I don't think he's Avalanche style. Like, you can look a lot at the names that you really don't pay attention to in the trade lines. You could get a full view in preseason.
So here they are. They're playing 6 games. One of them is split squad game. So they're playing the split squad on the same day. So those are both against the Utah Mammoth on Sunday, September 21st. On September 27th, you're playing Dallas. On September 30th and October 1st, you're playing Vegas. And then October 4th, you're playing Dallas again. So 2 games against the Mammoth, 2 games against the Stars, 2 games against Vegas. And like I said, the last one is October 4th against Dallas. So there they are. I mean, I know some people are going to look at these Dallas games and like maybe put more emphasis on them than really needs to be, but talk to me again when they play in the regular season.
Back in my day, those preseason games were the Minnesota Wild games.
Yeah, have they played a Minnesota Wild game preseason game? And they must have recently.
It's been, I think, last year, year before. I think the Stars are starting to phase out Minnesota.
Yeah,
when it comes to like rivalry, and I honestly feel like the Stars are the new Wild for this generation of Avs fans.
So I think they said the regular season schedule is coming out. If I'm not mistaken, I think they said July 14th. So let's just kind of look ahead and kind of make some guesses on who we think the Avs opener is going to be. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe last year they were on the road in Vegas to open their season. And then they opened at home, I believe, against Columbus was their home opener. So what do you think? Like, who is the opponent? I mean, if you want to throw out if you think it's going to be on the road or at home, feel free to do that. But more looking for the opponent. Who do you think it's going to be?
I feel like it is a night, the second half of the TNT doubleheader. The Colorado Avalanche will be on the road against the St. Louis Blues.
That's a good one. That could be, I mean, pretty good chances that it's in the division. like I said, they did have Vegas last year, and I don't mind that, kind of having some good matchups in your opening game. I don't know. I just get no rhyme or reason to this. I just do get a vibe that the Avs are starting on the road this year.
Yeah,
like
I do
they
too.
did last year. Like I said, I have nothing behind that. I don't know how they go about doing it.
It'll be a back-to-back.
Oh God. Didn't they do that? Or was
2
last
years
year?
ago? I think it's 2 years ago.
Was the opener? Was it back-to-back in the opener, or maybe like games 2 and 3? I got to go back and look at the schedule because I remember they had a back-to-back very, very early on or maybe it was the first weekend or something like that. Now that you say that, just jogging my memory. I got to look that up. It would not surprise. Come on, you can't. Is that where we're going back-to-back? Oh my God. Yeah, for some reason I know Chicago's the easy one. They just seem to open up against Chicago a lot. Why not Minnesota? I think that would be a good one. Even if it's on the road, start on the road against Minnesota.
I mean, that would be fun for me.
Why not?
I'd enjoy that.
Yeah. Threw this over to the subtext crew. So we got some people over there. We got
that feels like the home matchup. If they're opening up on the road,
if you're opening up on the road,
Colorado at Minnesota at home.
All right. Okay. Electrician Ziggy says, I would like to see a Sens or Canes opening game.
Ugh.
It doesn't matter home or away, but the way both teams left off last season could make for a fun opening game, or open up against Kyle's second team, the Devils. It's always a fun matchup.
Still my beating heart.
I mean, usually the Avs go east. They do go a little bit early, usually like in late November.
Yeah, November.
Early December. For me, they could go for just a couple games and then they'll go back out there again for a longer. You never know with the NHL schedule. Mark says Columbus. Doesn't say if it's home or away, which again doesn't matter, but he thinks Columbus. Shorzy says Dallas. And
I would think that until that preseason schedule came out, and the last preseason game being Dallas. I don't think they're going to open the season with Dallas.
It's a good call. I think I'm with you on that. To turn around and play them again would be a little bit odd, but again, you never know.
It's the NHL.
Yeah. Craig says if the recent past any indication, it will likely be against Chicago. And he's right, because they do seem to open up against them more often than not the past few years. So that's an option. Madam Battleaxe, as we open against Winnipeg. How about that?
Okay, Winnipeg does not excite me. It'd be a fun matchup, I guess, but I have Winnipeg fatigue, especially after the last couple playoffs.
If it's at home, okay, whatever. If it's on the road, that scares me, because why are you just going to Winnipeg and then you're not just coming home right after that? You're starting off on like a West Coast trip.
Yeah, no, you're doing back to back, going to Florida next night.
God, no, God. But if you're going to Winnipeg, if you're in Winnipeg to start your season, then you're going down. You're probably playing Seattle.
Yeah.
You might be playing like that Anaheim, LA back to back,
San Jose.
You could be doing that if you're on the road. So Brandon says I'm going with the Dallas Stars for the rivalry and ratings. Sure. Adams thinks Dallas. Kay thinks Dallas or Chicago. And we have Tanya says Dallas. So a lot of people thinking Central, some team in the Central, which I think there's a good opportunity for that. So could be any team, could be Utah, really could be, even though they're playing them twice in the preseason. Could be any team in the Central. I could see that happening. If it's outside of the Central, I don't know. I'll go Seattle. Why not?
Like, I get what Avs fans are thinking with the Dallas Colorado start, but I feel like in the eyes of like broadcast television, they're going to put Dallas versus Edmonton to start that.
That'd be a good one. I like when they do that.
Yeah,
like kind of get that early rating thing. Hey, these was the conference final matchups. I don't mind when they do stuff like that early on.
But Dallas and Colorado will be a highlighted rivalry matchup whenever it's put on like the big TNT midweek game or a weekend game. Like that's going to be highlighted rivalry.
My only concern is like when you do something, if it was like Chicago, or excuse me, if it was Dallas and Avs to start the season, it seems like the league has been like clustering like all those games together. Like whenever you finally play Dallas, it seems like you play all of your season games against them within like a month and it's over. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want them to play Dallas on game 1 of the season and their season series is over by Thanksgiving, because then you have nothing to catch up to if you're behind for either team. So I hope that doesn't happen. But
that's a great point.
Remains to be seen. So we will obviously cover that when the schedule is released and kind of go through that with a fine-tooth comb, Spaceball style. But so we'll take one more break. When we come back, we will get to the grade for Valeri Nichushkin coming up next. Let's hear from FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. And as we're recording this, that NBA game is going on. What have you checked the score of that while we've
Absolutely. I will look.
Okay, you look that up because I'm interested in that, believe it or not. So if you're already following the action, why not make it a little bit more thrilling with FanDuel? You can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and you get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. What do we got on the NBA game, Mr. Sullivan?
OKC is up 89-68.
89-68. Wow. When I checked the score like before we were recording, and the Pacers were up by like 3 points.
The good guys are winning.
Wow. Okay. So open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started for betting $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. Check out FanDuel today. Mr. Valeri Nichushkin is up for a season grade, and let's just get right to it. So if you're watching over on YouTube, there's your grades. B's up and down the lineup there, sir. You and me, both flat B, everybody on social media, Subtext, Instagram, X, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, all B's for Valeri Nichushkin. And do you feel like this is just one of those, again, where it's games driven? Like if he could have played a full season, never mind the suspension part. Like once you get over the suspension part, and he was reinstated and started playing games, if he could have just finished out the season with playing the amount of games that, outside of the suspension, I feel like this is in the A territory. But he got hurt again. He was out a handful of games, only played 43 games. So just about half of the season, a little more than half the season, and scored 34 points in those 43 games. So give me your thoughts on Val.
Well, I feel like, yes, this grade is reflective of the suspension and not, yes, the gravity of what occurred, but it's also a fun fact. Val has not played more than 70 games since 2015.
Yeah.
Like if he did, we talk about this all the time. Like the part-timers, like Val, not a part-timer. He's incredible. When he actually plays, he was almost a point per game guy last year.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of was trying to find his place again, but when he was on, he's one of the best players on the ice, but he has those ghost games. The suspension, yes, it definitely harmed him. Could have got him kicked out of the league. It's pretty intense stuff. Like to be on that level, knowing everything that's going on, especially how last season ended, the year before, not the one that we just finished.
Yeah.
Like, you're carrying a lot, and especially when we're talking about deals like Brock Nelson and Jonathan Toews, you're also carrying a deal that is rather rich, and we don't need to be paying that for a part-time guy. But when you're here, it's incredible. But when you're not here, it's hard to give you an A when you're not here.
I mean, the record with and without him just speaks for itself. You see it all the time. I don't think there's another guy that, that record shows the value of a single guy as much as that. When Val is in there, they win. When he's not, they're still a good team, but it's wild. That's that. So what does it look like for a full season? I'd love to know, Val. So, give us a full season and if that, that stat of, the record with him, without him holds true, Avs are a President's Cup winner. Because you said, he's kind of like a ghost from time to time. I don't buy into that. Like, I think even games where he doesn't show up on the stat sheet, he's that type of guy where he does a lot of things on the ice that make you notice. So yeah, maybe he has a game where he doesn't score anything, but which is few and far between. And like I said, he's almost a point per game player. But best for checking forward on the team. Best. Does everything. Power play, penalty kill do. He's got the size. So when he does that power move from the wing and he's shielding the defender and he's kind of taking that angle into the goalie, I love watching him do that. A lot of guys do that. He is in so much control of his play when he does that, and he's a big boy and he is tough to push around. So, he does everything that they want him to do. And the suspension thing is I was just happy he finished a postseason.
Yeah.
It was only one round. But hey, like, we didn't get that the last 2 seasons with him. And we were saying that all through the year, Kyle. If he comes back, can he stay clean? And it's not good enough just to get through the regular season. He has to get through a postseason. And if you're sitting there as like, well, it was only one round. We didn't get those the last 2 years. So you can't have it both. You can't now say, well, he's got to get through a postseason. And then when he does, say, well, it was only one round. And you're just being insatiable and just not, nothing is going to satisfy you. He's a big part of this team. Big part of this team. I know it's injuries that kept him out for this year. Not always his fault when it comes to an injury. But man, if he's out there, this team just is a different team. They have a different look. They have a different vibe. And now going into next year, he will have a brand new line that he's playing with. I say brand new, like he's never played with Gabe before, which he has, but it's been a while. So having that line gets you excited between him, Brock Nelson, and Gabe. Those guys get going like that. That's going to be a formidable top 6.
Yeah. And that's the thing with Val. You have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar, who are generational talents. And the next step down, Val Nichushkin is a generational force. He's not going to. He doesn't have like the Nate or Cale like skill, but he could take over a game. He could take over a shift. And so many times, Chris, when we talk about that guy who wants to step up and say, "I'm tired of this," Val is that guy. He will take the puck and say, "Okay." He'll drive right from the red line, gain that zone. Even if he doesn't score, he's a presence, and he's affecting the goalie and the defense, and then he allows maybe third or fourth line to score. He is a complete game changer, and I'm excited to see what he looks like next year. You have a full season. You have potentially full playoffs. This is where we get the barometer on what Val Nichushkin can do with this team and means to this team.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because 21 goals. That's not in 43 games. That's good. That's good. We want to see it in a full season. You see some of the comments there from our subtext people. There's some people that just, feel like he duped them. And, and you see it from Vargar. Faded in when it counted. I stand by wanting to trade him after Seattle.
I get that.
I get it. I'm not built that way. I kind of want to see people succeed and kind of turn things around. He has for now. Like Sammy G did it. He went into that program. He's come out, and you don't really hear about it again. Val struggles with that stuff a little bit more. But the fact that, we didn't at least hear about it this year, that's a plus. But there's some people that just say like, nope, I'm done with you. I'm not going to try to change your mind, but that's just not how I operate. So I root for the guy.
And next year is that he's got the roadmap and the blueprint to make it his year. So nothing holding him back, no suspensions, knock on wood, no injuries. Like, this is your Val Nichushkin experience.
And they need him. They need him big time. So, all right. That will wrap it up for today, everybody. So thank you for tuning in and making this your first listen today. Whatever's going on tomorrow in Avalanche Nation, we will be sure to bring that up in tomorrow's episode. So tune in to that one. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow, where you made it through another 24 hours where Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being with Colorado Avalanche.
No, never.